Doping scandals have long plagued the world of track and field, tarnishing the legacies of numerous athletes and casting a shadow over the sport's integrity. The use of PEDs, or performance-enhancing drugs, undermines the core values of fair competition and sportsmanship, leading to a widespread distrust and skepticism among fans and competitors alike. Over the years, several high-profile sprinters have been convicted of doping, each case contributing to the complex narrative of drug use in athletics. And on top of that, the unpredictability of punishment for doping violations just further complicates the issue, as inconsistencies in enforcement and sanctions create a landscape where the consequences for athletes can vary significantly. Throughout history, we've seen countless cases where a bunch of world-class sprinters have been caught up in some doping scandals. Even to today, where we're like the current stars, who are two of the new faces of the new era of Erriyon Knighton and Hassan Masinga, even they aren't safe from the doping scandals. The history of doping in track and field is extensive. The word doping and track are damn near symbiotic, with numerous athletes being implicated over the decades. One of the most infamous cases involves Ben Johnson, the Canadian sprinter who won the gold medal in the 100 at the 1988 Seoul Olympics. Johnson's victory was short-lived as he tested positive for the anabolic steroid not gonna hold y'all, I'm finna butcher this. Stanozolol, I think, leading to his disqualification and the stripping of his medal. This scandal was a significant blow to the sport, highlighting the extent of PED use among elite athletes and raising questions about the efficiency of doping controls. Another notable case is that of Marion Jones, the American sprinter who was a dominant force in the late 90s and early 2000s. Jones won 5 medals at the 2000 Sydney Olympics, including 3 gold medals. Unfortunately, though, all her achievements were later overshadowed by her admission of steroid use. In 2007, Jones confessed to using PEDs and was subsequently stripped of her Olympic medals. Her fall from grace was a stark reminder of all the doping consequences in track and field and how the athletes can face severe penalties. Tyson Gay, one of the fastest sprinters in history, also faced doping allegations. In 2013, Gay tested positive for a banned substance, leading to a 1-year suspension and the forfeiture of his results from July 2012 to onward, including his silver medal from the 4x1 relay at the 2012 London Olympics. Gay's case was particularly impactful as he was one of the leading American sprinters and a major competitor to Usain Bolt during his career. In recent years, Christian Coleman, the reigning world champion in the 100, faced suspension due to whereabout failures.
He wasn't allowed to go to Tokyo. He was suspended for a whereabouts violation,
which are considered anti-doping violations. Although Coleman did not test positive for any banned substances, his failure to be available for test failing to comply. So you don't even have to test positive, but if you aren't even there to test, they're just gonna count you as guilty, essentially. The unpredictability of doping punishments is a significant issue in track and field. While some athletes receive a lengthy suspension and the stripping of medals and titles, other athletes may face a lighter sentence, which might even be just essentially a slap on the wrist. This inconsistency can be attributed to various factors, including the specifics of each case, the substances involved, and the athlete's cooperation with authorities. And on top of that, the legal and procedural complexities of anti-doping regulations. Erriyon Knighton and Hassan Masinga provide relevant examples of how doping accusations and their consequences can vary. Erriyon Knighton is the prince of U.S. sprinting, and his rapid ascent to the top of the sport has definitely made him a poster child, breaking Usain's under 20 world records in the 200. Any hint of doping could potentially jeopardize his career. As a young athlete, Knighton must navigate the pressures of maintaining peak performance while adhering to strict anti-doping regulations. The mere association with doping can have detrimental effects, and Knighton's case illustrates the high stakes for athletes in the spotlight. The whole reason he didn't even run this season was due to the fact that he apparently, he ate some type of food and it wasn't that severe. He just didn't run all season, but then he was able to run at the Olympic trials, and now he's going to Paris. However, not everybody gets this slap on the wrist, and honestly, I think it largely has to do with the fact that he is a poster child for America, because another teenage sprinter had tested positive, and he's banned for 4 years currently. Hassan Masinga, another young sprinting talent, faced similar pressures. Asinga's impressive performances, such as beating Noah Lyles in the 100, had positioned him as a potential future star in track and field. However, the specter of doping allegations looms large, and any involvement in doping could derail his career before it fully takes off. The unpredictability of doping punishments means that Asinga must be vigilant in avoiding any substances that could result in a positive test, as the consequences could range from short-term suspensions to lifetime bans. Unfortunately, after testing positive for doping due to some Gatorade gummies, Assam Asinga has received a 4-year ban in May, which could jeopardize his college scholarship and chances of going pro as a whole. Though he's trying to sue Gatorade, the fact of the matter is you can't be certain what the consequences will be in this sport. The variability in doping punishments is evident in the cases of various athletes. For instance, Justin Gatlin received a 4-year ban for his second doping offense in 2006 after testing positive for testosterone. Despite this lengthy suspension, Gatlin returned to a competition and continued to achieve success, including winning the 100-meter gold at the 2017 World Championships. Gatlin's ability to come back from a doping ban and compete at the high level contrasts with the fate of other athletes who have faced harsher or more career-ending sanctions, and honestly, this is the ending that I hope Assam Asinga will get as well. In contrast, Dwayne Chambers, a British sprinter, received a 2-year ban in 2003 after testing positive for the designer steroid THG. Chambers' ban was accompanied by significant public and professional fallout, and although he returned to competition, his career never really fully recovered, and he faced continuous scrutiny and stigma. Chambers' case highlights how doping convictions can have long-lasting effects on the athlete's reputation and career, even after serving the prescribed suspension. The case of Yulia Stepanova, a Russian middle-distance runner, further illustrates the complexities of doping punishments. Stepanova, along with her husband Vitaly Stepanov, played a crucial role in exposing the state-sponsored doping program in Russia. Although Stepanova herself was implicated in doping and received a ban, her cooperation with anti-doping authorities and her role as a whistleblower garnered her some degree of leniency and support from the international community. This case underscores the nuanced and often controversial nature of doping punishments, where mitigated factors can influence the severity of sanctions. The World Anti-Doping Agency, or WADA, and national anti-doping organizations play critical roles in enforcing doping regulations and determining punishments. WADA's code provides a framework for anti-doping rules, but the interpretation and implementation of these rules can vary between different countries and organizations. The variability can lead to be perceived as inconsistencies in how doping cases are handled and the punishments meted out. For example, Alberto Salazar, the renowned coach of the Nike Oregon Project, received a 4-year ban in 2019 for violating anti-doping rules, including trafficking testosterone and tampering with the doping control process. The ban was the result of a lengthy investigation and legal proceedings, highlighting the complexity and duration of some doping cases. Salazar's ban had significant repercussions for his athletes and the reputation of the Nike Oregon Project, demonstrating the far-reaching impact of doping violations. Doping scandals not only affect individual athletes, but also have broader implications for the sport as a whole. They can undermine the credibility of competitions, erode public trust, and deter young athletes from pursuing careers in track and field. The ripple effects of doping scandals extend to sponsors, governing bodies, and fans, all of whom have vested interest in maintaining the integrity of the sport. Efforts to combat doping in track and field are ongoing and multifaceted. Advances in testing technology, increased funding for anti-doping programs, and the establishment of independent bodies like the Athletics Integrity Unit aim to enhance the effectiveness of doping controls. Education and awareness programs for athletes, coaches, and support staff are also crucial in promoting clean sport and preventing inadvertent doping violations. The introduction to ABP, or the Athlete Biological Passport, represents a significant advancement in the fight against doping. The ABP monitors an athlete's biological markers over time, helping to detect the effects of doping rather than just the presence of specific substances. This approach provides a more comprehensive view of an athlete's physiological changes and can identify doping patterns way faster. Even with all these advancements, the challenge still remains. The ever-evolving nature of performance-enhancing substances, including designer drugs and gene doping, poses significant hurdles for anti-doping authorities. Additionally, the legal and ethical complexities surrounding doping investigations and prosecutions can impede swift and decision action. The cases of Erinn Knight and Assam Asinga serve as reminders of the importance of vigilance and integrity in athletics. As young athletes with immense potential, their adherence to anti-doping regulations will be crucial in maintaining their reputations and achieving long-term success. The unpredictability of doping punishments means that even inadvertent violations can have severe consequences. emphasizing the need for comprehensive education and support for athletes at all levels.